Okay, so let's have a big round of applause for Stephen Duncan.
Okay, so this one's called Arse Not Here Not. Don't ask me where I was born. Ask me if I respect my birthright. Don't ask where my parents are from. Ask me if they're pointing me in the direction of a decent life. Don't ask me how tall I am or even how heavy. Ask me the height of my vision and the weight of my ambition. And if you've got a story that can help me get there, tell it to me. Don't ask me my shoe size. Ask me the distance of my journey. And I will tell you about the blisters on my feet running away from all the inhumanity. Don't ask me where I live. Ask me if I belong to a community. Because I'd hate to be lonely, separated in gated spaces, insensitive to the suffering that I see. Looking through the window with a view of immunity to social misery. Looking down on other people, believing they're beneath me. Ask me if I know how to build a home. Externally and internally. A sanctuary within me that can house a spirit of peace. Don't ask me my age. Ask me if I'm mature enough to take responsibility. Because I will tell you that for me, growing up is not numeric, but systematic in navigating through life's challenges, never settling for defeat. And before you ask me about my culture, ask what I'm cultivating. If I'm growing in a legacy, if I'm planting a seed of courage that flourishes in kindness over greed. Then ask me how much food I shot or what I like to eat. Ask me the recipes on which my mind feeds. Ask me if I can digest dignity and regurgitate integrity. Ask me if I've got a belly full of fortitude. Don't ask me about race. Don't ask me about ethnicity. Ask me about the failures, how many times I fell over and had to pick myself up again and the character that it built in me. Don't ask me who I like or who I don't like. Ask me if I'm treating people right. Don't ask what job I'm doing for a living, but if my purpose is fulfilling, or if I'm grafting in accordance with my calling, and observing a world where so many people are working to be worthless. I'm trying to employ a balance between self-actualization and purpose. And by the way, I've got no kids for the record. Don't ask me if I'm married, separated or divorced, the company I keep or the status of my cohorts, because I will tell you that I'm guided by the source and I don't follow any human. Don't ask me what football team I support, because I will tell you as a nation, if we could be as passionate about social justice as we are football, and we could introduce that passion as the #1 goal of our social norm, then we could easily be the leaders in world reform. Don't ask me about qualifications or education, because I will tell you the curriculum wiped out all my history. I will tell you the greatest lesson I've learned was to come to terms with managing my emotional propensity. I will tell you that my life and my name are too humble and mundane to have letters and distinctions after it. But I will also tell you that I'm trying to teach myself to leave the world in a better state than I found it. Don't ask me about intelligence. Don't even go there with intellect, because I will have to deflect and ask you, what good does it create without altruistic unselfishness? I will give you a lecture in cause and effect. I will tell you that wicked people can be intelligent and bad people can have good intellect. Ask me about perception and wisdom, if I'm capable of treating strangers as siblings, because that's about as smart as you can get. Don't inquire of the origin of my accent or my dialect, or if I'm fluent in speaking other languages. Ask me about self-talk and its positive and negative effect. Ask me about negative narratives that lived in my head, the internal dialogue of neglect and its translation into freedom. Freedom, freedom from the approval-seeking nature and the need to impress. Because I don't know about you, but I'm craving conversation in which my imagination can be stretched around the paradigm of superficial success, the gangster status that we're chasing, how much money we can make and how much pussy we can press. That's why I don't boast no sexual innuendos for effect. So don't ask me about my sexuality. Ask me if I respect sex, if there's a space that's sacred in my bed, if I can stay loyal to a female connection without deviating from my gentleness. Ask me about attentiveness and tenderness, something with substance, like romance and cuddles. But don't ask me about faithfulness, because I will tell you that it's been my biggest struggle. And please, 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 don't even go there with intimacy, because you seeing into me is scary. It will expose my naked insecurities, and I'm definitely in trouble if you ask me if I'm capable of loving. I'll have to tell you that it takes constant practice. I will tell you that I know much more about what love isn't than what it actually is. Don't ask me what music moves me. Ask me if I can tune into the frequency of my conscience, respond to its truth and not get despondent. Ask me if I can meditate to my heartbeat, seek solace in the silence from all of this confusion. Ask me if I can dance to the birds singing in the morning when I wake up and I'm yawning. If my soul is an instrument that's happy, joyous and free. Stop trying to trap me into this macho accountability, mooching around me trying to measure my masculinity. Don't stereotype my muscle size or equate my physique to be healthy. But ask me how strong I am in the face of adversity, if I'm athletic in my authenticity, if I'm spiritually fit, if I'm working out in the gym of justice, if I can train myself to do the right thing regardless of the circumstances. Don't ask me if I'm gangster or if I used to carry a gun. Ask me if I can stand in the face of the storm and still see the sun. Ask me if I can find some fun in feeling the raindrops, or see miracles in puddles, rainbows in the ghettos, beauty in simplicity, valor in vulnerability, self-worth in sensitivity. And you can laugh at me, you can call me a pussy, you can tell me you're a badder man than me, and I will humbly agree. But I will also laugh at your stupidity. I will tell you that all the prisons are full of wannabe gangsters wanting to be free. And if you ask me if I've got a criminal record, I will ask you to define the difference between sin and crime. I will tell you, just because your life played out differently to mine, it doesn't necessarily make you better. I will tell you I'm a product of my condition, and no prison could ever punish me like addiction. I'll tell you about justice as restorative, my amends processes. I'll tell you I was criminally addicted for over half the time that I've existed, and another lifetime would never be enough time for me to fix the pain that I've inflicted. I'm serious, man. I'm trying to speak to your hearts and not your minds. Do not get it twisted. I'm keeping it real, you know, like that. I want to spit lingering loops of soul-stirring truths to stimulate the nerves in you, wake you up to the fact that being deep is too taboo. That's why I'm quick to dodge the superficial chat when people are chatting to me like I'm a dating agency app or about to start flapping in a police interview room. I'm fed up with these crazy analytics. I refuse to be a mouthpiece for your statistics, because my observation is technology's overtaken intuitive interaction and intelligent conversation. I hate communicating with the data that negates the individual human stories and the suffering, as if people's lives were some sort of tick box exercise or some data protection gathering. Feel free to ask me questions with an existential twist. Ask me about religion, philosophy and politics. Ask me if I believe in God, and I will tell you yes, and I hope for the apocalypse. But I will also tell you slavery still exists, in the manipulation of televangelists, prosperity preachers and greedy little priests that will lead you into believing they can give you some healing, or that God will afford you blessings in proportion to how much money you spend on them. You cannot pay for your repentance. They will laugh at your dependence whilst they drive around in luxury cars and lounge around in lavish homes at your expense. I will tell you that political institutions have been corrupted for as long as they've existed, and your philosophy is futile if you think that human power can fix it. I ain't playing. I'm just saying, let's think about the message we're conveying. I'm not insane, and I ain't got time to chat in vain. So I'm just saying, you want to talk to me? Let's talk about some stuff that's really worth saying.